want to talk about a single word that really unfolded into my life this week. It has had a very powerful effect. The word is radiance, capital R. And it's a wonderful word for so many other words like source or um, the light, core being. There is a radiance that is operating moment to moment, outside of time and inside time. And it absolutely impacts, fills, and is an expression of your life. How much you are sensitive to the inner radiance of your own being is sort of up to you. It's there to be found, it's there to be experienced, it's there operating at every instant of your life. And if the radiance is really allowed within, it moves without, and it is called radiation in a way. It radiates. And if you are radiating the pure radiance inside, you are a gift to everyone around you. Most of us have moments, glimmers of radiance. We feel it with certain people under certain circumstances. This thing arises inside us, or it seems to appear inside us and present itself to us and to others. And it is the very essence of beauty, of warmth, of comfort, of giving, of embrace, of allowing, all of those wonderful words. Radiance is something that pours forth if you make room for it. Every person you look at, excuse me, is a form of radiance, but mostly radiance that is in some ways obstructed, if you will. It is a radiance that is not fully expressed. It is impacted by the personality, by the ego, by the sense of separate self, by the lack of awareness of the radiance itself. And so what you see in most human conditions is a kind of reactive quality that is playing with everything around it from a very personal, very egoistic, very locked in self. And as it does that, it creates the drama and the narrative of human life. And we all go on reacting to one another. And every so often, we meet somebody who is resonant in some profound way, who radiates in some way, and it stops us in our tracks. And something in us goes, oh, it can be a person, a teacher, piece of music, bit of art, something goes. And that moment of stopping allows you to witness the radiance that is inside you. You may not have a name for it. You may not know what it is. You may not know the how or the why of what this is, but boy, oh boy, does it feel wonderful. When I first met Rudy in his shop, I witnessed it. First time I ever really didn't know what I was witnessing, but I felt it. It was there. Something was not only radiating, it was powerful in its generation, if you will. And radiance can be that. It can be beyond endurable on some level. Radiance is so potent that it it illuminates everything. And you may not want to see everything it illuminates. You may not want to be in the presence of radiance. Many people don't, because it shows you you. But it also does that as a favor, because the insight, the radiant insight into your own being, shows you all of the neurotic, reactive, dramatic narrative storyline going on that keeps you from witnessing this radiance. When you look at people, you can begin to see what they are radiating. Everybody is radiating something. Very few are radiating the radiance itself. They are radiating their mind, their nerves, their fears, their hopes, ambitions. All of these things are in play in a big way, and they're kind of exhausting. And if you look at people who come at life totally from that perspective, they are, in a sense, lost in the darkness and unaware of their self, of their true self, because this deep, profound self that we are is radiation itself. It is radiance itself. It moves outward. But when it becomes obstructed, it becomes like radioactive. Radioactive energy is problematic. It has two capacities. One is to blow up everything around it, and the other is to empower. It can empower. Radioactive energy that is used well can actually bring electricity and energy to the world. The kind that's misused blows up worlds. We are imbued with this radiance that becomes a kind of force for making light in the world and bringing light to the world and energy to the world, or causing great harm. And in a true sense, if you are aligned with radiance, it is telling you everything you need to know. It's not verbal, it's not intellectual, it's not with your mind, although it can play that way. It's just coming through as not even a word for it. And you feel imbued by it. You feel at some point, if you're really giving yourself over to radiance, washed away by it. What comes in its place is just this vessel to allow this force field to come through and serve. And what does it serve? It serves its own manifestation. It's like when the sun comes out every morning, if you're lucky, and all of the plants and all the trees and everything out there just goes, oh, it's radiant. It's serving the totality. That radiance is in the material world and it's in the immaterial world, and it's within you. You are a vessel for radiance. You are more than a vessel. You are actually a manifestation of radiance. And how much radiance you manifest and you put out, in a way, is the end goal, if you will, of your quote unquote spiritual life. A spiritual life is to surrender, to allow, to accept. What? Well, a lot of answers to that. And many of those answers are the moment. Accept the moment. Accept what is. Accept the truth, whatever all of that may be. But the idea behind the moment and the things you need to accept and respond to and react to, the very generator of all of that is radiance. It's just this radiant truth. And I don't even like to give it a second word like radiant being or radiant anything. It's just the thing itself is pouring through the same way the sun is lighting your day. And if you can get in touch with this, and you do it by sitting still, taking a breath, asking inside for help to let go or surrender, meaning let go of all of the disturbance and all of the conflict and annoyance and drama around you. And for whatever moment you can find, go inside and find this thing that I will call and am calling radiance, and watch what it does. Watch what it does when it starts to shine, what it does to you and what it does to everyone around you. There is no one unaffected by it. Radiance is a joyful presence beyond understanding. And if you can become a vessel for radiance, and every one of you are that, just so you know, every one of you are that, whether you're tapped in or not tapped in, this is happening and you are working its magic. You are doing what it is wanting you to do. And if you can start to wake up to the fact that it's already happening, you exist in this body, in this form, in this mind as an entity of radiance already. And there's, in a way, nothing to do to get there other than to go, oh, oh, and then be present, use it, share it everywhere. And when it goes away, if that's the mental experience of it, when it disappears, ask for help to bring it back. Go inside and say, please help me surrender. Because living in touch with your radiance beats living out of touch. It's a much better process. It's a much better way to be alive in this day-to-day life. And if you are not alive to radiance, it is a dull, sad, painful presence. Not that that isn't also part of the radiance. And that's kind of hard to understand for most people because you want radiance and love to only be expressed as radiance and love. But it expresses itself with every note of your day-to-day life. There is not a misstep ever in who and what you are. But you can get in touch with that and serve it and be one with it, or you can be absent from it and suffer. It's your choice. And if you are here and you're hearing these words, it's just another opportunity to go into the space that's not only inside you, but in the core of the entirety of all manifestation. Just go into that space and bow down and go, I'm here. I'm here. And then, moment to moment in your life, whatever's in front of you in its sacred way, serve it. Whatever presents itself, bring your radiance to that space. Bring it to every person who shows up, every moment that happens, and find a way to become the expression of what you truly are already. It's not like you have to become something you're not. That's not the case. You have to realize who and what you are. It's not that hard, although it takes a lifetime. It takes a practice. It takes something inside you that says, I would like to find this truth. I would like to witness my own radiance. You have to make an agreement with your being to go find this thing inside yourself. I have a friend visiting today who's an athlete, and we've been talking a lot about the Olympics. And I've been loving and watching the Olympics and crying and cheering and doing everything that I guess people can do watching that. And we're talking about the finding of that space, that incredible fire that gets you to the last moment. All I can tell you is crossing the finish line is an amazing thing. Crossing it in first place and winning gold is even a more amazing thing that can happen. But what is the thing that drives you? And every one of these athletes talks about this ephemeral quality of being that ignites for them to push them beyond themselves. And we were just talking about how that thing that gets you across the finish line is exactly what you need to get to the end of your own life, to leave this world, to have the power to get beyond your fear and your hesitation and your pain and all of this stuff that's gathering around you and push like you've never pushed before. And the thing is, if you've never pushed and never learned how to push, you're not even going to be in the race. You're just going to be in the stands, let's say. But if you are learning how to capture this exquisite radiance in you that will fire you into action, fire you into its own purpose, you will run the race of your life. Whether you win or not is secondary to the fact that you did it, that you joined the race, you made the effort, you spent years training, you spent years working, because there is a finish line, literally a finish line, done, finished, you're out of here line for every human being. And most people, they're in their last days and they're going, oh, I better start training. I better start running. I better learn how to do this. And it's late in the game, guys. It's very late in the game to try to learn how to run a race when you're 70, 50, whatever, 90 years old, and it's right in front of you. It's right there in front of you. I told this story 100 times, but my grandfather was 103 when he was dying, and they took him into the hospital with a heart problem. And they said, Mr. Rubin, you're not going to make it unless we do something exact right now, right this moment. And he went, nope, it's okay. It's all fine. And they were okay. And it was like beautiful. And he went and sat quietly in a little room and sat. And then suddenly he went, save me. And he had no effort at any point in his life prepared himself for the end. Minutes away, literally minutes away. And he started to realize, I'm in this game. Not a great moment to realize where you are, what you're doing. Every one of you who's sitting here right now has an opportunity to train, to be in the race, to prepare yourself. And it's not about winning or losing, really. It's about recognizing the what and the who of your own true being. And the word radiance is such a sweet word. It's such a sweet word because it's an emanation of something that's happening in you and through you, for you, yes, but there's no you at some point because it's just emanating, but it's for everyone it touches. And when I sit and meditate, of course, I look, if you will, for the radiance. And I try to expand it a little bit and make it a little bigger and give it more space to occupy the world around you. And some of you radiate beautifully. Some of you are less beautiful in your ability to radiate. And my job is to not to put on makeup and lipstick and all that stuff, but to help you become the beautiful emanating entity that you already are. It's not hard. It's more taking stuff away than adding on. It's just eliminating this crazy mind that thinks you're not right or you're not good enough. It's not going to work. I don't know what's wrong, or hating the world, or judging everything, or feeling tension and misery. I get all that because I go there as well. I get that stuff. But then I go, and this thing takes over all the time because I've been sitting for 60 years, and practice is a good thing. And if you're going to be running the last leg of the relay, you better be practiced. You better be. Or you'll go, I'm ready, and then help me. But I mean, it's late. It's late. Do it now. I'm not trying to scare you into it. I'm trying to give you a great life. A life of emanating radiance is an amazing day-to-day existence. And I'll tell you what it feels like. You walk step by step and you go, that's what it feels like. If that's enough for you, it's not that hard to get. And it's exquisite. It's exquisite. It's already there. It's not somewhere secret. It's not hiding. It's hiding, if they say, in plain sight. Your radiance is right in front of you. There's not one of you who doesn't have it. There's not one of you who hasn't emanated it and can't at any given moment. And even when you're not doing it, you are still part of it. You're doing what has to be done. So keep doing it. Try to understand that how you react to life is really in many ways a demonstration of radiance. And I will go back to my old teaching. Be kind is a wonderful way to get there. Being kind, moment to moment to moment, is one of the best expressions of the radiant principle. You have every reason to be angry and pissed and furious about all this stuff. That just takes in colors and overwhelms and distorts the radiance. But when you bring it into kindness, this energy inside you opens up and it's in flow. And your sudden kindness becomes this incredible, incredible gift. I'll tell you a personal story. It's just kind of interesting. I was on the phone with my cousin whose television had broken, and it was her birthday coming up, and I was trying to get her a new TV, and I was on Amazon and talking to her and doing all this simultaneously, and it was really, really complicated. And Blanche comes in and says she was off to feed her horse, Max, which I usually go with her when she goes because I like to be in the car with her. If anything ever happens, I'd rather it happen to two of us than one of us. And so she went off and she said that I'll be back at 5:30. And I went, okay, and so I kept talking, and I was doing Amazon and everything else. And it's 5:30. She's not back. It's a quarter of six. It's six. It's 6:15. Well, you know where the mind goes. My mind it went into, how do I live a life without my partner? How do I do that? How do I live this life? I had no one to go to. My son is out of town and his wife, and everybody's gone. I was so alone, and I couldn't figure out what I'm going to do. And I didn't want to give in to fear and drama, but boy, oh boy, did it take over. And at 6:30, I was going to call the hospital. I was going to try, all the things you think of doing. And the car comes up and it's Blanche. And I said, I was so worried about you, and trying to express my concern. And she got really angry at me for not for worrying. And I went, what did I do wrong? I couldn't figure out what I had done wrong. And it was really terrible for me. I got very pained by it. And we went through the day, and things all got quieter. And at the end of the day, I decided I'm going to teach Blanche two important words in the world. I'm sorry. And I decided to go up to her as we were getting ready for bed and give her a kiss and say, I want to tell you two words. But instead of my telling her the two words to make her learn a lesson, I went, I'm sorry. I did not mean to be upset about what happened. And she just looked at me and she said, me too. I'm sorry too. I never expected to be the one to say I'm sorry, but that became such a teaching to me, because rather than make it about somebody else and tell them what to do and how to do it, you can do it yourself. You can be the voice of compassion, the voice of the apologetic voice, the voice even when you didn't think you did anything wrong that tries to make it right. And that is a moment of radiance. And both Blanche and I at that moment experienced it together. We experienced this moment of coming together and being wrong, if you will, and being right at the same time. We were both sorry. It was really beautiful. It's very simple, and it's maybe too simple a story to end this talk on, but I'm going to end it on that talk. but I really want you all to know it's not a big deal. Being radiant is simple. Just learn how to do it. Be it. Any questions?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. It's interesting. So radiance is one of the meanings of my name.
Huh.
Uh,
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, okay. Someone here said yay. Then live up to it. Be your name. Be your name. It's really important. I mean, it's a beautiful word in English. I love it. And and let it inform your life, because moving forward in that space with now a reason, because you have to live up to who you are, let it inspire. It will change everything. And and I talk about this a lot. I and anybody who teaches, and anybody who helps anybody in the world, that the idea is help one person and you help the world. Save one person and you save the world. This isn't about masses of people. Do it for one person. It is a great gift. It's a real gift. Be radiant and be radiance. Anybody else?
I have a comment.
Tony.
Not a question, a comment. Just side note, just the other day, for the 5th time, I watched some of the 5th episode of the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, and its name is something like A Question of Radiance, about the young Indiana Jones meeting the young Krishnamurti. Just thought.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, guys, thank you all for being here, and thank all of you who drove here and got here in person as well. We will continue this as long as you show up. And